Okay, this is for mycockpit.org. I get a lot of questions about my radio, so I'm going to run a little sample here so people can see the functionality of it. Arduino radio, it's got an Arduino Leonardo clone in it. Only uses about 19 pins or less. This is the Elma E37 dual concentric encoder with the push button. This is just a rotary switch to select functionality. These are the swap buttons to swap your actives and your standbys. This display down here is for DME. I'll show that in a minute. And then you have your squawk code in your airplane here. You can see I've got the radio up behind it on the screens. And if I want to change my comm frequency, I make sure the dash is on this side. Comm, if I press this, it goes to navs. These are the navs over here. Active and standby. Comm active, comm standby. So I want to dial up a frequency, say 128.3. Turn the knobs. And then hit the select switch. And then it switches it over. And you can see it. It's up there on the radios in the cockpit. Now if I want to select a nav frequency, say 113.3, it's in the standby, hit the button, moves it over, and it's the VOR we're 12.5 miles away from. If you want to dial the transponder, we'll bring it back this way. I don't have it labeled, but I bring it back one, and you see the first two digits have dots by them, if you can make that out. That means that one of these knobs changes one digit, and the other knob changes the other digit. Change the next two digits, you hit the button, and now there's dots on those. So we can dial those up. Let's bring it back. Again, the dash mark shows you which radio is selected. We go two notches over, and it takes us to the COM2 NAV2, which I don't think those aren't displayed on the screen behind us, but we can still change those. Those are down lower on a different radio. It's the same thing. We have two dashes here that tells me that it's COM2 and NAV2 selected. The other thing I have, this is a limited autopilot feature, so you can change course, which I'll show you that on the HSI. So we can dial a course. We can also dial the heading bug. I've coded acceleration into it, so you can turn it slow or you can turn it fast, and you don't have to break the knob off to do it. Again, hit the button to toggle to the next thing. That's altitude, and then speed. Actually, you can control speed. These will only work for default aircraft or any aircraft that uses default autopilot type stuff. On the altitude, you can also do the rate of climb as well. So we had COM2 and the NAV2, and we also put ADF in here, so you can dial up the ADF freaks. And that's the end of the functionality. Hope that helps. You can see the Arduino. I've got a couple of I've got my grounds coming into here. I've got a lot of things that use the 5 volts, so I've got that in this on these terminals here. I've also got more ground on this terminal, ground on this terminal. The tube display modules, you can see them. And I've got 4 of those in there. Everything's tethered, so that's why there's a bunch of wires. And for giggles and grins, I've got my MCP panel that I made, mode control panel that I made, which is basically an autopilot for 737. This works with the Milviz 737-200. That's what I've got it programmed for. I don't have a program for the PMDG, although I might do that at some point in the future.